I want to invite our principal, Professor Kapachi, to make some remarks. Guided Professor.
Today, we stand at the threshold of a defining moment. We are all engaged in a special enterprise, that of moving the center. And I will come back to the theme and the metaphor of moving the center again and again. We are moving the center, and that is why this public lecture is not being offered at Education Theatre 2 of the University of Nairobi, for those who are my age mates understand. This public lecture is not being offered in any other venue in the capital city of the Republic of Kenya. It is not being offered at Makerere University in Uganda. It is not being offered at the University of Dar es Salaam. It is being offered at Turkana University. That is why we are moving the center. We are moving the center of intellectual discourse to the periphery from the center. We are having this lecture at a time in our history when the search for truth is no longer on our priority list. It is at a time when the political class is busy on a trajectory that does not resonate well with the spirit of critical introspection, dedicated intellectual pursuit, and the reclamation of higher ideas. And this lecture is just meant to do that, in search of higher ideas. And that is why we are moving the center. We are moving the center because we are moving from the mundane to reclaim the realm characterized by a higher arctic level of understanding. We are moving the center because we want to engage with other minds to produce new reality. We are truly trying to reclaim the essence of our existence. The imagery of moving the center from the building has never been real to me until today. Why? Because of the enthusiasm I've witnessed towards this section. We are going to be the first public university in this country that is going to offer a degree program, in human evolution biology, come January. We will have the program, bachelor's program in human evolution biology here in January, and Turkana University College will be the only and the first university in Africa to offer that program. That is why I say we are not here to copy. We are here to make sure we carve a niche for this university. For this university to be known for something. And because over the years, we know about the story of the cradle of mankind. And we are building on that. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, our motto at Turkana University College is the cradle of knowledge. I said history is important. Professor Nemo has chosen to be an active participant in moving the subject. But finally, Professor Nemo has been associated with Turkana for many years and has made significant contribution to the essence of the widely accepted view of Turkana as the cradle of mankind. Our university, as I say, boasts of the fact that we are part and parcel of knowledge creation at every moment. Before I conclude, I just want to take this opportunity and ask the CEC Chair of Trade, Robert Eteleno, to welcome visitors to Turkana County.
We cannot all do much about the many things happening in Turkana until we invest in research. And I happen to have worked in the NGO world and with a lot of donors. And I was sharing with the professor that with all those contacts and with the support of His Excellency the Governor, what we have done, if there is anyone who wants to do research, we are directing all of them to Turkana University College. Because as a country, we are not so experienced in research, but we have the first university in Turkana that we all are working to empower and raise it to a standard where the oil discovery should be talked about in this university. When you are talking about the science part, we want to hear people coming to learn from this university about the things that have been discovered in Turkana, and that will be a transformative agenda that Turkana University College should nurture so that the whole world can come here. Now we can look at the challenge. It means we have to work hard, both as a country and as a university. And you can imagine the things we are doing. Turkana County government has invested in research. We are among the first counties who have developed our county integrated plan. And this is a step that our county has invested in so that we are able to run programs that are research-based. You don't just implement programs for the sake of implementing. but implement programs that are going to transform lives of people based on research that has been done and based on data. So our professors and those of our students who are doing research, my ministry and the government and Turkana County government are working to ensure that most of our programs are actually research-based. We don't just implement like. So for that, this is a challenge. Give it to you. And now that Professor Nemo has brought the three pillars together, this is an opportunity for all of us to understand this and be able to internalize that, then plan forward on what we can do to innovate, be creative, and then create innovations that will be coming out of Turkana. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. You have had it all. I want you to mentor a university college in Turkana. That day set in motion the movement that saw the government gazette this university on 27th of January 2017. Professor Nemo holds a PhD in biological anthropology from Harvard University, an MA in biological anthropology from Harvard University. He has done a lot of research. Professor Nemo's research spanning the last 20 years in the Turkana Basin and Lake Victoria Basin in Western Kenya focuses on the search for the ancestors of apes in the period known as Miocene, which lasted from approximately 20 million years to 5 million years ago. He has made many path-breaking discoveries, including, most recently, the complete skull of an ape ever known. Professor Nemo, welcome.
I teach about 1,000 to 2,000 American undergraduate students every year. So they get to hear, I get to share with them the knowledge, the passion, the knowledge I have. I've been doing that for 5 years. So if you talk about that, I have taught roughly about 10 to 15,000 Americans. And I've always felt guilty that I want to share this knowledge with our own students. So to me, this is homecoming. It is really for the first time that I get the opportunity to share that which I have been sharing over the last 5 years with thousands of young Americans. All right, so I study the origins of humans. Where did we come from? What makes us humans? How did we get to be where we are today? What was the beginning? Where was the beginning? Human origins is what I study. And what we claim, or based on what we found, is that we evolved. We did not just happen in a short period, it took millions of years. And that most of that story took place, or if not all of that process, took place in Africa. And a large chunk of that record, of that story, is written in the rocks that we find here. So where did we come from? Where did humans come from? We say we came from some other people or some other creatures that look like people over a period of millions of years. In that story, is written in Africa, and in Africa, Lake Basin is the only place where you can find that record. And so we spent the last 5 years trying to help to uncover that record. Many of us don't believe that. Many of us find it difficult to believe that. And so as I was preparing for this lecture, I asked myself, what is it that I really want to do for this lecture? What is it that I want to share with this young Kenyans? And I said, what I want to do is I want to think of all the reasons why we think, because as a Kenyan, growing up in Kenya, I know what some of the reasons, the difficulties we have with accepting the fact that we could have come from Africa. And I listened, and so my challenge is to try to address each of these questions. And that by the end of it, you may not be convinced, but you will begin to have some information that you can then begin to use and begin to see where somebody like me who says that we evolved in Africa comes from. So number one, we hear that the science of human evolution is not an important subject. So if a young person were to go to their parents and say, what is it that you want to study at Turkana University College? And they say, I want to study the science of human origins. The parents will ask you, why do you want to do that? That's not important. There are more important things you can study that can help us. You can study business, you can study economics, you can study medicine. These are very important things. But I want to share with you why the study of the human origins is also an important subject. And if your son or daughter comes to you and say, this is what I want to do, you respond. There is also the concern that saying that humans share a common ancestry, and especially the notion we have about how this transformed, that it is racist. We go from there when we think, oh, these are the people who are going to say that Africans are closer to the apes. So if you believe in humans evolving, then you're going to end up accepting that Africans are below everybody else because of that evolution series, we are closest to the apes. The third objection is that it's not even a science. You know, real science is something like computer science. It's something like physics or chemistry. You know, when I was in high school, we used to have this thing called a system that was called, we had O levels and A levels. If you went to A levels and you studied science, people thought it was something very special. If you studied so-called the true science, like chemistry and physics, people would think that you were really, really smart, you're going places. And I remember proudly walking around in the class, making sure that I exposed my advanced level of physics textbook so everybody could see that this guy is really smart. You know, something like human origins where you were sitting around in the dark, digging pieces of bone. You know, what is that? We want to see, you know, machines and complicated things. That's what real science is like. And then there's objection that it's against religion. And there's also the thinking that it's a subject or a career for white people. That's what white people, sometimes white people do. And then lastly, there is the objection that it is of no significant economic value. It doesn't add anything economically, whether it is true or not true. So why spend time doing it? So let's start with it is not important. Now we say that, or there's this saying that the pen is mightier than, let me hear that again. The pen is mightier than, I didn't hear that. The pen is mightier than the sword. Why do we say that? Because with the pen, you write ideas. Ideas are forever. You may kill the person who comes up with an idea, but you're never going to kill an idea. Ideology is important. It shapes our thinking. It shapes the decisions that we make, how we're going to do things. And I can tell you that particularly in the Western societies, ideas are supreme. They reign supreme. Everything or most of everything they do is based on some idea. Now, so having said that, I want to talk about a question that was addressed to a very famous anthropologist by the name of Jared Diamond. He's written a book called Guns, Jams, and Steel. So for you young people who are looking for important books to read, I recommend reading Guns, Jams, and Steel by Jared Diamond. What does he do in that book? He says that he's out in that book to address a question that was put to him by a field assistant and a friend in Papua New Guinea. He does his research in Papua New Guinea. And when he first went there, he met this person who became a village elder by the name of Yali. And Yali asked him a question. Jared, how comes the white man has so much cargo? How comes the white man has so much and we have so little? You know. So in this book, which is a very, very popular book in America, it's been turned into a film, school students read this book. He goes out to try to explain why there is such an enormous wealth gap between black nations and predominantly white nations. And he says that it is primarily an accidental geography, that Europe happened to have been a place where geographically they are lucky enough to be near the centers of domestication of the major agricultural grains like wheat and so on. They also benefited from being near a place where modern technologies like steel were invented. They also happened to be near a place where other technologies, gunpowder, which was invented in China and ended up being weaponized by the Europeans who produced guns. So he said it's just an accident of history. Africa is poor because of an accident of geography. We have the bad geography. I don't agree with it. And so over the years, as the book came out, I spent some time in my lectures trying to address the question in a different way. I don't think that that's the answer. I think the reason why we are poor is a very different reason. And that's where the science of human origin begins to come in. Let's see how it works. Right, so you're not going to see this on the right. America and other complex societies, including our own society, have hierarchies. We have class hierarchies. You know, in America, we have class, we have race hierarchies. If you're high class, you get more money, you get more privilege, you get more resources. If you're low class, you get less. In America, if you're white, you get more privileges, you get more money. If you're black, you get less. Okay, so we have what we call a stratified society. It is stratified by class, and it is also stratified by race. Now, there's a difference between class and race. There's a very big difference. The big difference is that with class, you can move in and out, you can move up and down. You can be born poor, but you're allowed to move up and become rich. You can be born rich, and you can come down and become poor. But with race, you're not allowed to. You're stuck. You are where your parents were. You can't go to school and work hard and do better and rise up. With race, you stay where you were born. So a racial caste system. Okay, so in America, we have a racial caste system. And there's no way you can understand the American society. There's no way you can explain the American economy without understanding the racial caste system. Okay? And there is no way you can understand the economy in the whole world without understanding the American system. Because the American system is global, it's got its tentacles everywhere. So if you want to understand why black people are poor in Africa, it helps to begin by going to those places where the system was put in place that makes black people poor, like America, stand where that system was created. And it helps to understand how that system is put together. Okay? So, let's start. We have a new constitution which most of us like, passed in 2010. A good chunk of that constitution, the principle of that constitution, is derived from the American Constitution. We get what, the philosophical grounding of that Constitution comes from the American Constitution. And so when the Americans were setting up their society, when they were breaking away from England, and they said, we want to set a society where we're not controlled by a king, we're not controlled by one person. And also they say, we want to be a society where we are not controlled by the belief of one group of people. So, we want people to practice their different beliefs, their different religions, but we're not going to be a society where one group's religion becomes the basis upon which everybody is judged, everybody is told where they should or should not be. And so they created a system that they say, what's for everybody? We're going to create a system that is based, the rules are derived from principles, fundamental principles that are true for all humanity. And if you read in the Declaration of Independence, I want to read. It says, that's in 1776. Now we have a new constitution in 2010. They had theirs in 1776. And here's what it says. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another to assume amongst the powers of the earth a separate and equal station to which, this is the important line, to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitles them. The laws of nature and nature's God entitles them. The United States Constitution, the rules that govern or are supposed to govern every American are based on natural laws, understanding natural laws. You have to find those laws that are true for all of us. If you climb up of a 10-story building and you jump, what's going to happen to you? You're coming down. Why? Because there's something called gravity. And it doesn't matter whether you're black or white or whatever. Everyone. If you start walking from one point of the earth, you're going to end up at the same point because the world is not flat. And that's true for what? For everyone. So, if you look at the crafters of the American Constitution, they are very, very clear. Our laws, the governments, are going to be based on a proper understanding of the laws of nature. And so, since then, what Americans have been doing, and the West have been doing, is to try to find out what those laws of nature are. And if you look at the American system, say, ideas are forever. They're based on three basic ideas. There are three ideas about how nature works that is at the base of how we organize ourselves in America. And those are, number one, the concept of ideals. That in nature there exist things we call ideals. Secondly, that we can rank things, we can rank all living things, we can rank humans, and there's a natural ranking system. There's something in nature that ranks people. All we need to do is to find those ranks. It's the concept of what we call linear ranking. Then there is the concept of polygenism, the concept that white people and black people don't come from the same place. They didn't get to the world from the same place. White people were created separate. Black people were created separate. Asians were created separate. That gives rise to what we call American exceptionalism, where we think, American thinks, we're different. We were not made like the rest of other nations. We operate by a different set of natural laws. And so, if you look at the poverty index in the world, you can see that now. What you then find is that based on those three ideals, the one is organized in such a way that wherever you find black people, they earn less, they're poorer. Whether you are in South America, whether you are in Africa, whether you are in America, anywhere you find black people, they're going to be poorer. Why? Because they are under the same system that is built on these three ideas. And that system is global. So let's look a little bit closer about the concept of idealism. What does that exactly mean? The philosopher Plato uses the metaphor of a cave. And he says, if you go into a cave and there are shadows in that cave, if you are chasing a dick and the dick runs into a cave, or if you're chasing a lion and the lion runs into a cave, Plato didn't say that part, I'm saying that part. What is real in that cave? Is it the shadows, or is it the creatures that are making the shadows? If you want to kill the lion, do you aim at the shadows, or do you ignore the shadows? And of course, he concludes, and we all rightly conclude, that you ignore the shadows. Alright? The shadows are just, poor, a reflection of our poor senses. I'd like to show this picture. It only makes sense if you're in America. If you walk into a grocery store, or if you walk into a bookstore, and you look at the magazine covers, they're going to have pictures of people that are supposed to be beautiful, that are used to sell beauty products. And if you look at them, what you find is that every single person in these pictures on these magazines are white. They're white women. They're not only white women, they're thin white women, they're blonde hair, they all look the same. So what are we being told? We're being told that beauty is an ideal. If you turn around and you look at people in the store and you look at the magazine, it's not the same. But we're told what's in the store do not represent beauty. Real beauty is an ideal. It is white. If you're black, you can't be beautiful. You don't meet the ideal. So in small ways like that, you recognize the power of and the projection of this concept of white is beautiful, black is not beautiful. It's all around you. You internalize it without realizing that you're internalizing it, because it pops up in ways that you don't think. Right, so in 1775, the founder, the person who became the founder of the discipline of anthropology, a man called Franz Blumenbach, he was a doctor, but he was also an anthropologist, also a researcher. And he tackled the question of, if I look at all the human beings, and this is the time when Europeans were going all around the world and were encountering all these different people, Are there ideals? Can I organize them into ideal types? And he said yes. And he said he's doing it scientifically by measuring stars. So he published a book in 1775 called The Variety of Human Types, in which he said, based on his scientific measurements, all the people in the world fall into 5 types, 5 ideals. And these scales here represent them. And he opines, even though he wasn't a racist, but he says the Caucasian scale is the most handsome and becoming. Now, how a scale can, how you look at a scale and you say it's handsome, I don't know. But for whatever reason, even a white scale is more handsome and becoming. And of course, you can imagine the black scale is not very handsome and it is not very becoming. Right, so in 1775, based on science, based on measurements, Blumenbach created 5 races. He is the first person to name races. And those races are recognized until today. They were not always there. They were created and recognized in 1775. And this is then what's going to form the foundation of slavery and colonization and all of that. First, you gotta have the creation of those ideals. The second idea is scholar. This comes from Aristotle. If you spend time and you work with Western societies, including America, they always are very careful to trace their ideas back to the Greeks. Everything goes back to the Greeks because the Greeks is supposed to be the first great white civilization. And they did a lot of wonderful things, I could say. So the idea of scholar, that is a scale in nature, goes back to another Greek philosopher. This one is Aristotle. Aristotle organized, he called it the chain of being. There's a chain of being where you can organize things into a linear series that ends with humans at the top. And as things look less humans, they're going to be lower ranking on the great chain of being. Here's a representation of Aristotle's idea of the great chain of being. So after Blumenbach in 1775 creates these 5 ideals, black, white, black, Asian, Native American, and so then what we did in the West is based on Aristotle's principle. We say that we have discovered again, we discovered that not only are there 5 ideals, but we discovered naturally what the rank is. And we say that this was based on the concept of what we call IQ, intelligence quotient. That if we measure scale size and if we measure the intelligence of people of these different 5 ideals, that we find a series that goes from, they call bell curves, that represents the whole population. So you can't see it at the back, but at the bottom of the scale, Africans. At the top of the scales, either white or Asian. Now, the important point to note is that the average IQ of an African is 85 in this series. And psychologists consider an IQ of 85 to be borderline retarded. So an average African on the linear hierarchy is a what? A borderline retard. Alright, so not only do we have different IQ rankings, but We didn't come from the same place. We came from different places. And like I say, so, I mean, there's no way that the very smart, becoming, and handsome white people could have come from the borderline retarded and not particularly very handsome black people. They came from what? Different places. We did not come from the same place. We came from totally different places. We got here from different places. Now the next step, and we've come to discover this quite recently, is that these concepts are internalized in the subconscious. If you grow up in America, that there are ideals, there are linear hierarchies, and we are all from different places, is internalized. Okay? Now, psychologists separate the human mind into the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious and the what? The subconscious. There are things you're aware of. You do, you plan, you know, but there are things that are in there and sometimes they pop up and you don't know where they're coming from because they sit in your subconscious. So the ideals that rank people in 2 different 5 categories and rank them are now in our subconscious. They've been driven in there by culture. So if you're a kid growing up, you all imbibe this ideal without knowing. And so psychologists have recently invented tests because we say, oh, when we say that people believe these things, people say, no, I don't believe in these things. I believe everybody is equal. So we say, okay, we ask psychologists to invent a test. And so there's a professor at Harvard called Banerjee who invented a test. If you want it, you can take it online. It's called the Implicit Association Test. The Implicit Association Test, the IAT test. And so it takes about 15 minutes. And it tests whether you are biased against white people or you're biased against black people. And the results are astounding. Over 5 million people have taken the test in America only. And what it shows is that over 75% of Americans, so that's a random sample of Americans, are biased against black people. And they don't even know. What is the most disturbing is that even black people, when they're biased, are more likely biased against what? Black people. We don't like ourselves, and we don't even know we don't like ourselves. Right, and you can also see this in, because this came to me from, you can see it again, one of my students emailed me midnight, because I've been talking about the IQ test, and he puts his class and said, oh, Professor Nico, I found something, can you check this out? There's something in America that is very popular. I don't know about Kenya, but in Kenya, in America, there's something very popular. It's called online dating. Now people don't date physically. You meet later, no? You do it all online, you know? So you put a profile, you say, I'm great, and all that. And somebody looks at your profile and says, I think I like that guy, or I think I like that woman. So there's one big dating site called OkCupid. You know, the big god Cupid. We go down. And it has millions and millions of users. And what they do is they ask you to rank how attractive or non-attractive people are. So you're not thinking, you just say, oh yeah, those, you know. And what they find is that there's a huge number of people, 80% of people who think that black people are not very attractive. The least biased group, by the way, were black men. Black men ranked all women equal. They found all women to be equally beautiful. Black, white, big, small, tall, short. Black men thought they were all equally beautiful. Right. So we have these ideals that come all the way from the Greeks. We think they're natural, and they are subconsciously embedded in our brains. And so what do you think when we're starting to create policies? What do you think when we're deciding who gets education? What do you think we're gonna say when we decide who gets a job? If I may go come to you and there's a white person coming to you and we say, you know, I have some ideas that we could use to help, and a white person comes and tells you the same thing, who do you think we will listen to? You think you're going to listen to them? Probably not. You will listen to the white person before you listen to them. You don't even know you're doing it. You don't even know why you're doing it. Because this stuff is all in the world, in this conscience. And because of the subconscious actions, because we think that black people are criminal, they're not smart, and whatnot, as a result, the United States has more black people in jail than anywhere else in the world. 1/4 of people in jail, I don't know if you guys know this, 1/4 of people in jail in the United States. China has 1.5 billion people. It has less people in jail than the United States has twice more people in jail. We only have 300 million people. And most of those people are black people. And do you know what they get jailed for? They mostly get jailed for marijuana. What you guys here call bang. Or what is the other name you call it? Ganja. And so if you're white and you smoke ganja, nobody bothers you. If you're black and you smoke ganja, you're going to jail. There are more young black men in jail in the United States than in college. Think about it. More young black males in jail than in college. 1 in every 3 of a young black man in the United States is going to end up in jail. So look around you. If you're in the United States, count 1, 2, 3. If you're a male, one of you is going to end up in jail at some point. So you tell me if that's not important. Because all of this is built on what? Ideals. You've got to understand how we get there if you want to come out of it. This is all based on ideas. This huge numbers of black people who are jailed, deprived of education and all that, the basis of it will come to discover as well, is ideals. If you want to change it, you got to change the ideals.
Kind of societies that describe structure out of those policies. And there have been three ideologies. The ideology of raising voting in different places. And those ideologies have played a very, very powerful role in shaping how the American society works, and because American society is two kinds, I'm also trying to show that in time